All right. Can everybody hear me? Comment in the chat if you do hear me. Anybody? Bueller? You can always hear me, I feel like. All right, I'm just gonna give folks just a few more minutes to hop on. Yeah. I mean, the I mean, SPY is gonna gap down significantly. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the just a market update. Last week, this is the chart that I shared and kind of drew this trend line, which wasn't necessarily the most specific or accurate, but just something that I was watching. We got a tap of it. We went above 69 and then it just failed. And like we talked about last week, the failure of 69 probably meant that we were going to come back down and test this range low. So I was kind of optimistic that 66K would hold because going into the New York session, I thought that this stuff would get bought back up. This is the issue though. So ES is on the way down, and if you look at it on a tighter time frame, it's just been dropping. We had this little consolidation kind of overnight, and then it just sold off. And now we're back to the bottom of this channel. And so it's really just going to be up to large buyers. We had weekly, monthly, quarterly close. That has a significant impact on the market. A lot of the big institutions report earnings on a quarterly basis. And so from here, they're just kind of trying to figure out where they're going to go for the next 3 months, and they're being patient. I don't think this is necessarily panic selling. I think this is just a lack of buyers. And so Bitcoin was not going to bounce this morning with all that going on. Now, what am I looking for? Ideally, it would look something. Am I blind? Oh, here we go. It would look something like this. Go below this level, sweep it, and then do that. It is certainly possible if we get a strong reaction here, or it's possible that we head down to this area. I think that when we look at this area down here, you have to be a lot more careful. I want to see if we come down here, I want to see a very, very fast buyback in response. And and that's just gonna it's not gonna be a knife catching situation. It's gonna be wait for it probably to reclaim 60K. If for now, I think what I'm looking for is this range. So we're at value area low for the range, and there's some confluence there in terms of mid-range and POC and all this stuff, and I'm still mildly optimistic that it holds. But the reality is that I'm either going to wait for strength and reclaim of a level and just be late on the bounce, or I'm going to wait for lower. And alts will respond. If Bitcoin keeps dropping here, I suspect that alts will get hit harder than they have been, but they're also going to bounce harder than they have been. So just have to be patient from here and see where it goes. I do think that there's a level of support here. It's just not the high time frame level that I want to really take a big position. It's more of a small position, and at the end of the day, if you miss 65K to 69K and it reclaims 69, then you still have a valid long. We have to now be careful with this 71K level because it's a significant resistance now, and there's not a whole lot of room between 71 and 73. So that will be a tighter trade, but it's still, I think, a very valid trade to go from 69 to 71, and then if it breaks up here to 73, and then who knows? For now, I'm looking for this. I'll take this on reclaim. I need to see a very strong reaction in this level. Hopefully, plan A is this one. I'm just going to change it to purple. This is the plan A. Let's see. All right. We got to get Index turn his camera on. Says the guy without a camera. Oh, you're muted.
I said I don't want to. I'm fucking tired. I just woke up late night last night.
So we have been trading meme coins in the Discord and chatting about meme coins, and some of the stuff just moves so fast. Just like 10% candles and nothing. And so it's kind of interesting. You can obviously make a lot of money and lose a lot of money. Um, which meme coins are you looking at?
I mean, pretty much what I'm looking at is I'm just looking for volatility. So normally, like, I'll look at the top gainers, and that's where I'll just start looking at charts and looking at what I want to trade. This BNX has been an asshole to me because I've literally been liquidated in a 5 minute candle this size like multiple times. It's pissing me off. And uh, I'll even straddle it and still get liquidated both directions. So like right now, I kind of want to short it. Then I'll probably get
Yeah, and
liquidated.
I think that's one of those things that's tough uh on on higher leverage to get those tight moves because of the fact that it just wicks. The liquidity in those smaller coins isn't there, and so the market tends to just kind of take liquidity from wherever it can grab it.
Yep. Hopefully this I ran into this Mave long last night, like around here, and I should have cut it around here, but I think that's when I was getting my kids up for school, and I didn't even see the big dump that happened when Bitcoin dumped. But I'm still sitting in it. I mean, I'm up 280%. Look at that BNX. It's already liquidated that I just entered.
I don't know that we can see it. I just see your futures
Oh man, it switched
list.
screen. Damn it. It opened it in a different tab.
It does that. Yeah, the web version likes to open new tabs.
Yeah, so like I said, I entered this Mave last night, around here, and it was probably up like I think it was like 600% or something around here, but I'm still in it because I didn't see it dumping. But yeah,
Apparently,
I entered into that BNX short, and it already liquidated me in like under a minute. You can see all my orders, see all the volume candles. Mine, mine, mine,
so
mine, mine, mine.
the yield market started moving and equity started responding and BTC started dropping, all which is not what we've necessarily been seeing. Um, and the reality is that I think you see a pretty fast buyback on a lot of that stuff. But yeah, we woke up and Asia just dumped it. It's like they chose to just go down with it. And part of that is like I think there's a period in the middle of the night where it's just a lot easier to move BTC and then those all those coins. Every now and then you'll get a coin that just doesn't give a fuck and just goes
Right.
wherever it wants to. But I think everything on my watch list went down last night.
That's why I like to use the crypto bubbles. Kind of gives you an idea on. That's how you can find the ones that are not following the rest of the market. But as you can see, everything's red.
What's Leo?
I have no
Oh, it
idea.
moved.
Where the hell is Leo?
It was in the middle. Top middle.
Oh, I have no idea. Might not be something that we have.
Yeah, we are not experts in what these coins actually are meant to do. Uh,
I know
we just
nothing
look at the
about them.
charts.
Yeah, just read charts.
Well, like and a lot of times I understand the kind of environment that each of these things are in. So I know that um, like there's gaming coins and AI coins and different types of ecosystems, and they move together frequently, and money rotates between from one ecosystem to the other as one starts to move. But that's the extent of uh, of my knowledge on it.
I don't know much about them. I just read
Right.
charts. I guess I'll turn my camera back on so you guys can see my pretty face. Yeah, I need to stop trading
Yeah.
this BNX. I've lost probably $1,500 trading it. It just does not like me.
What is it? BNX? Oh,
Yeah, BNX, which I know nothing about it.
oof. Bitcoin's just dropping more.
Yes, it is. I noticed that.
Sol's down to 177. I feel like that's going to be a good buy. ES is down to 5250. So
Oh
last
shit.
yesterday before open, I said my level to watch was 5300,
Hmm.
and once that was lost, it just didn't make sense to get long, and when you have such a strong trend like I showed in that ES channel, for me it's like I'd rather wait on the pullback to get long than try and short a clearly bullish market. And that meant that I missed out on a pretty easy short, which went right to my once we opened, the message on the chat was I'm long above 424 SPY, and that was it. That was like my only plan in terms of ES and SPY, and it rejected 424 and just kept dropping all day. And at this point, I don't think many people called for a, you know, you're looking at a 80-point drop from weekly open on ES is pretty significant. So it's not unexpected that Bitcoin would drop with it. I mean, you don't, even if
Right.
they decorrelate, when ES drops 80 points in a day, you're going to see Bitcoin take a hit. At the very least, if it's very, very bullish and buyers are jumping in, it'll just stay. So yeah, I think we just have to wait, for me, wait on this drop to finish and
Buy the dip.
then buy the dip. Yep. And people are going to start, you're going to start seeing crypto Twitter and YouTubers start to pump out like bull market over, uh, panic selling, Bitcoin going to 30K type headlines, and they're just trying to kind of get people's attention. And then you're going to see people saying buy the dip, and they don't necessarily have a specific plan. They're just telling you, the halving is coming and everything's bullish. And at the end of the day, you just want to, it's okay, I think, to just wait for a legitimate bounce
Entry.
and then
Yeah.
hop on the next move. Um, there's no sense in just
Yeah.
buying.
I mean,
Now, if you're,
I'm
go
sure
ahead.
you're like me, and I'm sure you got friends that will like hit you up like, "Oh, should I buy?" And it's always when it's like had a big run up. It's like, no, you don't want to buy now. Like you already
Right.
missed the
Like
move. Wait for the next.
l-
Wait for the next dip.
when Sol was at 200, like, okay, yeah, maybe you take a leveraged position, but that wasn't the time to start building a spot bag.
Right.
Speaking of Sol, I do think that one of the issues that you're seeing with Sol is it moved up and showed a lot of strength because of all these meme coins that are on the Solana ecosystem. But then you have a transition. Some of the folks are trading on base meme coins, and so that is part of it. But also, it's still very much in its range. And so for Sol, you're looking at that 160 to 170 level. I think if you want to start buying, legitimately buying Sol, that's the level that I'm looking for. And if 160 doesn't hold, then there's a real chance that we head down to the 130s. So I think it will hold. It's just a matter of being patient and waiting for it. And if you miss it and we start trading above 180, 185 again, then maybe it's worth chasing a bit and hopping on a move back up to 200.
I know one coin that's green on the day.
What's that?
Dirty dick beaters.
Dirty dick beaters. We should share that. Let's see. I'm gonna hop over to my screen real quick. So, all right. So this is DDB, Dirty Dick Beater, and we're up 13% in 24 hours. Certainly have more buying than selling. It's moving pretty slow, but I like the chart. I mean, we we saw it kind of survive the initial bots and it moved up. Then there's some profit taking over here, and now it's just kind of slowly churning back up. Yeah. So, in order to buy this, you got to have a. My suggestion would be to get a Phantom wallet, put some Sol into it, and then you go to Radium and swap it for some DDB. And yeah, I mean, right now we're looking at a 41% gain from the low, which isn't bad in 2 days. It's technically up 229% from the all-time low, but 40% from this bounce. So I think we'll see. I mean, it's just a fun concept. Who doesn't like to have a little fun? I am losing my voice because my kid got sick, which meant that I got sick,
Nice.
of course. And so, yeah, that's what's up with that.
My kid almost missed the bus this morning, and it was pouring lightning, thunder, just dumping rain. She said, "Will you take me to school?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." And I was getting up and getting ready, and I'm like, "Hey, it slowed down. Bus will be here any minute. Get your ass moving." So she ran out the door. And then my boy, who's supposed to get himself up and go to school, he's walking out the door right now, like 2 hours late. Fucking kids.
This is the dirty dick beater son.
Yep. The son with the dirty dick beaters. The market just opened, and
Oh,
I expected to start seeing some movement on ES, and it's not. Yeah, there hasn't been much movement since open. I think I
so
put
it
I put
looks like
$1,000 into Bitcoin short.
it looks like to me from the initial flow that market makers moved their hedge positions down a good bit. Um, they must have not seen a lot of overnight buying, and unless SPY reclaims 521, I suspect we're heading lower. NQ just looks like absolute dog shit, and it's I I think there's enough buying on SPY, but there's I guarantee you if you look through all the tech stocks, something's dumping because the Qs look really really weak, and there's really not a lot of buying, and I suspect that's going to drag things lower. It may be that we see a bounce because it's still kind of early, but this is not something that I would bet on. I'd want to see SPY reclaim at least 520, at least 520, because right now it just looks terrible.
Yeah. Definitely not looking good. That's a big gap down, though.
Yeah, and you're always going to have those traders and algos that are going to kind of trade that gap fill. But just looking at the initial flow, to me, it looks more like we go lower before we go fill that gap.
Right.
And we have so many, we had such a strong uptrend and so many gaps that just didn't get filled on the way up that I think it's fair to assume that if we have a serious pullback, they're not going to get filled on the way down either. So yeah, stuff should go lower here.
So that Bitcoin short that I entered in a few minutes ago, I just put my stop loss just above my entry, so at least I'm not losing any money if it bounces. Not that I think it is. Got
There's a
10.
there's a good chance that we get a decent if we see equities continue to sell down, I think you're gonna see some mild panic selling. You're either gonna see people like large market participants, they're either gonna double down and buy the dip hard and it's gonna fill that gap really fast, or they're gonna sell off some of what they have with hopes of buying lower, and that's gonna make the downside accelerate. And the way you trade that is to just wait for a key level, not trying to guess. Certainly there's software, but from what I'm seeing right now, there's just not a lot of interest in any of this stuff right now. But it's day two of the quarter, so
Right.
as of right now, it's not like I'm seeing a massive dump or sell pressure. It's just normal selling correlation to yields. Yields started moving, and the yields market is gonna eventually, most of the time, it's gonna lead, but just have to wait. Yeah, yes, it's going lower now.
Yeah.
52.48. Not a lot, but enough to show the fact that it's not bouncing is enough.
Spies down to 217.80. Oh, yep. Bitcoin had a little bounce and hit my stop loss.
Yeah, and to me, that's the most frustrating thing is when, like, overnight I take a position and I get stopped out and then it still goes my way. Like, my brain gets, like, angry.
Look what it's doing right now. Like it literally hit my stop loss, and then the next candle's dumping.
Yeah, and people are gonna go, "Oh, well, I was stop loss hunted." Well, unlikely. The reality is that markets like liquidity and they go to your position in reverse because there's a position there to fill. And if you don't like that, don't use stop losses. Not that I'm suggesting not to use stop losses, but at some point, you were okay with taking that stop loss at entry because you didn't want to take the risk.
Yeah, exactly.
If you get into a cycle where you feel like you're constantly being taken out of positions before the move actually goes, and you had the direction right but you didn't execute it, then the answer is really, really simple. Just reduce your position size. Either put less margin in so you can give it a wider stop, or use less leverage. But until you get a feel for how the market is wicking before moves, if you're constantly being taken out, even though you had the direction right, just reduce your position size, give it more room, and then tighten it as you go. The other thing is that, from this point, Bitcoin could move up $1,000
Oh yeah.
and still end up closing red on, like, lower on the day. It wouldn't a $500 move up on Bitcoin right now does not invalidate my position that I think we go lower. And
Right.
so when you're taking those trades on high leverage and you're in a spot that is not easily invalidated, you do tighten up those stop losses because that's what makes sense to do. For me, I'm waiting so I don't have to do that. But if I was taking a short, I'd have my stops really tight because a move up could just very easily be an irrelevant bullshit move up that means nothing. Same with down. I mean, if it went down $500, it wouldn't mean that I'm right on the ultimate target. It just means it went down $500. So from here, it's very, very hard to invalidate. So ES is down 10 points from open. So at
Yep.
least we got that part right.
Right.
And sometimes, honestly, sometimes just if I'm bullish on the market and I see signs that we're going lower, maybe I don't short, but the saving the money and not going long is a win in and of itself. It's part of growing an account. It's just not losing money. And so I can sit here and say I'm still very bullish long term on SPY, but I'm not longing every dip. And and the reality is my long term and most people's long term is very different. Like my long term right now is summer, uh maybe fall election season. Like is my like big macro outlook, not multi-year time frame. So um I don't have a problem if SPY heads down to 512 today.
Right.
I think I think that's totally within the realm of possibility and still have a bullish market. But I do think that at some point you're going to see a bounce.
Oh yeah. And SPY doesn't like to leave unfilled gaps.
It really doesn't, especially when it's going against the trend. When you see a significant pivot point, sometimes SPY will leave a big gap because there's a significant change in sentiment. So, for example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, you had a gap down that didn't fill,
Yeah.
and and that's a significant change in market sentiment. I don't think we've had that. I don't think there's been a significant change in market sentiment. I think this is just the market correcting, and so you have to keep those things in mind. If there's nothing that's going to change, eventually, if it goes down low enough, it will, in and of itself, change market sentiment because people will panic. But I just don't think we're there.
Everything is red. Pretty much everything.
And I'm gonna share my
Yeah, do it. I'm just
go.
dicking off.
I'm gonna go back and share my. So I'm looking at. Let me change this out. I was gonna share Bitcoin and Sol. This is the high time frame Sol, and I've got these levels here, but really, it's somewhere between these two orange lines. So 163 to 174, and obviously we're getting really close to 174. My best guess is, somewhere around 170 would be ideal, but you see a very similar structure to Bitcoin where you have this trend. It broke, it kind of tried to fight back, it gave the back test and then came down. So a very clean short. And in hindsight, it's really easy to say that. I could see it coming down to this 140 to 150 level. There's a big volume gap here. And so that's part of the reason that I say, this 160, mid 160 level really needs to hold because something like Soul is gonna have it's gonna move through this level really, really fast. So if this 162 doesn't hold, the likelihood of getting a 10-point drop is significant and a fast 10-point drop. Bitcoin hasn't really done much. It's still just kind of hanging out at that level. And this is probably our biggest concern is this. If we wick down reclaim, then you can pretty much long anything, I think, as equities bounce back up. But if it loses this channel and continues going down, then we see a bigger pullback. Right now, I'm leaning towards move lower, buy back into the end of the week, close the end of the week inside the channel, and just keep moving up. That's my best guess on equities right now. And then this is what I'm currently looking at, look, Sui to me is holding up really, really well. Like, obviously it has this drop because it 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 was delayed in the drop. It was actually holding up better than Bitcoin and Sol even this morning. But when you see Bitcoin just going down, Sol going down, and then Sui's just holding this low 1.7 level, if Bitcoin's going to bounce here, I would have no problems jumping into a Sui long. That's my go-to if I decide for whatever reason I'm wrong and Bitcoin's moving up and not going to my 63K level, Sui is where I'm Sui and Sol is where I'm putting my money, but right now Sui looks better. Well, I remember after the FTX crash, I remember I woke up and it was early. It was like 5 a.m. It was still dark out. And I remember making a post in the Discord saying, I'm buying Bitcoin and Sol spot and I'm buying it heavy. And at that point, Sol was at $10. It was like I want to say it was at like 9 or 10. Like my Sol spot bag from that like transaction was like averaged at $11. And people made fun of me. And they were like, no, like Sam Bankman Fried is just took Sol to the grave. Like everybody was so anti Sol. And and I think it was just like if you didn't go through the last bull market and you didn't see what Sol was capable of, and the reality that like if I want to send you $200, I'm not sending you USDT. I'm not sending you Bitcoin. If I can have any choice of coin, I'm gonna send you Sol because it's gonna be there instantly and it's gonna cost like a penny. And so to me, it was always like Sol moved up when Sol NFTs got really big, and now you're seeing it with meme coins. And the reason it's doing it is because Sol is really easy and cheap to use. And so I don't really understand. It could have gone to zero, but people on the even on the Discord were like just bashing me for it. And I was like, you don't have to buy it. Nobody's forcing you to buy it. I'm just saying I'm buying Bitcoin and Sol spot. If it goes down lower, I'll sell for a 20% loss. But that was what I was doing. And at that point, like leverage positions, like the liquidity dried up so much that trading leverage was really, really challenging. And so it just didn't make sense. And yeah, Sol just it just outperformed again. I mean, I do think that it's going to take a hit with base, but eventually it's gonna come back. And so yeah, Sui, Sol, I still think that if you look at some of the memes, like I mean Doge is holding up so much better than Sol and BTC. Like this is a beautiful chart. And as much as I hate the idea of meme coins, they're just outperforming right now. When you see a chart like Doge holding up this well, like this to me is just a clean, easy retrace the breakout level, and it's going to do really well if Bitcoin bounces. It's going to get slaughtered if Bitcoin doesn't bounce. But Floki was another one that I was watching. I think the issue with Floki is very similar to what I saw with Sui, which was that it made a lower high. Uh, let's see. Yeah, when you see again, like Badger came right down to a really like I almost hate taking these trades because I feel like they're so overcrowded, but it literally came down to this breakout level support, and you see these wicks on the bottom. That's telling you people are aggressively buying this breakout level. So just really, really solid. If you look at, you know, the newer, the newer meme stuff, uh, is a bit harder because Bohm right now is just kind of in this no man's land. It chopped at the 236 level and then launched and basically got really close to the 50% retrace. I think eventually it's going to come up to this level, and I'll just kind of highlight it. Somewhere in that purple rectangle, but I wouldn't mind waiting for it to come lower just because it's kind of hard to trade it right here. But I mean, you can see how much better Doge is looking on high time frame compared to some of these other meme coins. Whiff, Jesus. I mean, it's just at some point you just long the stuff that looks good. Like you wait for a pullback. Whiff didn't even come. Whiff hasn't even come to the breakout level or anywhere close. It is bonkers. Let's see what else is doing. So if we look at Sui, I mentioned this last week, but this lower high was very, very concerning. But now it's at a very clear key support. And people are going to get upset about my trend lines because I don't necessarily do them the way most people say to do them. I look at it as more of an art than a science. Right. And I mean, people are like, you got to do the wicks or you got to do the bodies. And I'm like, you don't have to do shit. There's no rules here. Like, if you are so stuck on one way of drawing something, you're going to miss the point. The point is to just give yourself an idea of what is happening. So to me, the more bodies and wicks on a horizontal, the better. So I've got just a lot of touching in this area. And so to me, this makes a whole lot of sense. A little bit of chop, and then let's go take out this trend line. And it doesn't, you somebody will come in and say, well, you drew it after the fact or whatever, or maybe it should be down at these and some people are going to say, well, you fork it and you do something like this or whatever. But at the end of the day, like I don't generally trade trend lines. They're not entries for me necessarily. I will use them as exits more frequently, but to me, I just want to visualize the higher highs and the lower lows. And so sometimes I'm not as precise with the drawing of them. But what you see is clear weakness down to a key support. And at this point, if it's showing relative strength to Bitcoin, I like it and I'm a buyer. I have no idea. I'm gonna go back to your screen.
Oh, you don't have to do that. Why is it not working? Apparently my screen's froze. There we go. Did you hear that vibration in
Yeah.
my mic? I don't know why I always have my phone sitting right next to my mic.
I mean,
Maverick Protocol. You can see mode static to build a customized liquidity distribution that doesn't move with price. Right on. Sounds good to me. I just look at charts. Yeah, I'm up 630% now. Yeah, 600. Whatever. We'll keep holding. Yeah, I showed you yesterday that my challenge port was over 10,000, and between last night and this morning, I lost like 2,000, maybe more on that BNX. That's when I'm
I
like, I
mean,
just gotta stop trading. It's just not working for me. Some fucking coins just don't like me, and so I don't like them either.
well, there's a strong contingent in our Discord that will not trade AMC anymore.
Right? Now that's for different reasons. A lot of reasons.
Uh,
Too many feelings in AMC.
I call it my no fly zone. Like when I just can't get a coin right, I just put it in the no fly zone and delete
Yeah,
it from my charts and hope that it never comes back.
yeah. That's how I am with Soul. Like I will not short Soul because it has fucked me every time. Every single time I try and short Soul.
Soul has made like, and the thing is that you can take a meme coin and see it go up 10, 12% in like an hour or 30 minutes. You don't normally see something with a market cap like Soul going up 10% in a day,
Right.
especially when Bitcoin only goes up 1%. But Soul does it. And it's like it it feels bad when it doesn't happen and you miss the easy short, but trying to short something like that is just a recipe for disaster. Although I've also in the last bull run, like I would try to it wicks lower too. Like I would try to buy the dip, and it was just such a strong trend that you would think you just buy the dip, and but no, it would always wreck me too. It took a while to kind of like get a feel for how it moves, and the reason is because people right now are buying Soul to be able to swap it for meme coins, and so it's not like people are just buying to just hold it like they do with Bitcoin. They're literally buying it to use it as
Yeah.
a currency to buy meme coins. So the chart is just going to move different based on just that. And like when you see gaming tokens just start like going crazy, people are actually buying them to use them in some sort of game. And I don't understand how it works, but it's hard to
Yeah, you can
justify
actually
shorting.
you can I know a little bit about the gaming because I got friends that do it, but you actually like earn the currency in the game by doing things in game, or you have, like rare items that you collect and you can sell those for, that coin. I mean, I love the concept of it because I'm a gamer and like basically you can make money while you play video games. I just haven't found a game that I really like to play.
Which honestly, like that's really cool. I still don't fully understand it, but at the end of the day, when somebody has a token and price starts to go down, but they know that if they add 10% to that token position, either by playing the game or buying it, that they can get a new weapon that they desperately want for this game. They're not going to sell it. They don't care. It's not about the value in dollars. It's
Right.
about using it to get that boost in the game. That chart is going to move different because of that. And it's just one of those like weird dynamics of crypto. And
Like I used to play Final Fantasy 11 back in the day, and it was one of those MMOs, kind of like World of Warcraft, and they had like anytime like there's certain like mobs that spawn. They have like spawn windows, and people will like camp for the like during those spawn windows. They'll be at the spot that it's supposed to spawn at, and then you'd also have all of these like these other people that they called them because the currency in Final Fantasy is gil, and they called them gil hunters because they would try and fight that mob and beat it and get that rare item because there was an auction house where you could use gil to buy and pretty much anything you wanted. And then they had these websites, and it was illegal to do, where you could buy gil like with real money. Like the game didn't let you do it. Like they didn't want you to do it. So if you got caught, like they'd ban you. But it's basically like that same concept, but making it legal and making it a that gaming currency, making it a real currency that they can convert into to fiat if they wanted to. So it's a really
which
cool
makes
concept.
which makes a lot of sense. It's just for me, I don't necessarily see the well. Remember when a couple years ago? It's been more than a couple years, but they had that like Candy Crusher game,
Yeah.
and I didn't really understand it, but like people were spending like $100 a week on Candy Crusher, and I don't really under. It's a free game. Like, what are you spending money on?
Right.
But but people did, and so it's just trying to sometimes trying to understand the why like blurs the reality of what's actually happening because
Well,
sometimes it doesn't matter why.
that's how the game designers are, and and how they market it is to because they make more money if people are paying extra for this stuff. They like almost every app that you download, every game that you download on your phone, like the first few levels are easy, and then they get progressively harder and harder to the point to where if you don't spend money on it, you're not going to progress anymore. So that gets people to spend money on it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, hey, if they can swing that, like more power to them. Um, all right.
Everything's starting to look a little bouncy now.
Yeah, and I think it looks like ES caught a bid
Yeah.
and it's moving up and actually the stats are looking mildly better. I don't think just based on what I'm seeing currently, I don't think this is something that's just gonna skyrocket up, but
Right.
I'm watching that 66K area on BTC and I'm gonna take a small Sui and a small Sol on just in case, but I don't think this is gonna be like the move for the week on ES. I think I want to see it show a little bit more strength before I really commit, and then see where it goes. I think an ES long here at 5250 makes some sense, at least for a 10-point move up too, because you are seeing some buyers, and I suspect that if stuff continues to move up even slightly, you're going to start to see bottom shorters want to cover, and that's going to give it a boost. And then after that move, you'll see a pullback and then you'll see if buyers really want to follow it through. If that makes sense.
Does anybody have any coins they want us to look at? Or I should say, want you to look at?
Yeah.
Anyone has anything they want to look at, just put it in the chat, in the comments, and take a look at it. I mean, we've covered a lot of them already, so
I was gonna say it's like everybody's quiet. It's like Monday morning, but it's not Monday
yeah,
morning.
it feels like Monday morning.
Right.
My
Exactly.
kids didn't have school yesterday, and I thought that they did. So, like the weekend, I was like, "Sweet, kids are going back to school on Monday."
Oh, that's the worst.
And my mom's like, "They don't have school on Monday." I was like, "Fuck!" Like I've already had to deal with them for the whole week because they were on spring break.
uh,
Time like creeps up on me too fast because like I was planning on us taking a vacation for spring break, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. And then it was like, then my kids are like, "Oh, spring break's next week." I'm like, "Oh, guess we're not going anywhere. Stay home."
yeah, kids do that where they like all of a sudden time passes 3 times faster
Yeah, I'll
just
just
for
wait until they're
no real
just wait
reason.
until yours are teenagers.
Right. All right. Well,
Such
y'all have been hearing us chatter for a
a
while. If you want us to check any charts later, just put it in the comments and I'll take a look. And we will the airdrop from Friday stream should be going out soon, and we'll select the winners, and probably those will go out tomorrow. And we'll be streaming again tomorrow and Friday. I'll post the links on Twitter and the Discord so that y'all can tune in. And if you have any topic requests or things that you want us to look at, just post it in the comments and we'll take a look. We'll add it to the agenda. As you can see, we're extremely professional and stick to the plan.
every time.
Uh, every time. Now
60%
Ryan
of the
goes. Ryan,
time, it works every time.
Ryan, we already discussed that we're putting all of our life savings into DDB, so that's
Yep.
basically all you need to know, buddy.
Yep. Every dime you
But
have.
yeah, so all right, if you put all your money into DDB, you're not only pumping my soul bag trade, you're also pumping DDB. So it's like a win-win the way
Yeah,
I see
exactly.
it. So yeah, all right. Hopefully we get that 10-point move up on ES from 52.50 to 52.60, and then kind of just wreck those late shorters. BTC will follow, probably looking at that 66K level. And at that point, it'll be decision time. So market going to follow it up with buyers and move back up, or are we going to make a new low? That's the plan. Low time frame, high time frame, we're waiting for lower or reclaim of 66, and we will do an update tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.
Love you. Bye.